imagine being an African American in 1965? Imagine not being able to go certain places or do certain things. Well, back then, one of those certain things that blacks couldn't do was vote. And this is where the Scope Project comes in. But let's start at the beginning. On June 15, 1965, Martin Luther King addressed the opening orientation session for student volunteers in Atlanta's Summer Community Organization and Political Education, other known as Scope Project, of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC. He told the assembled volunteers, "This generation of students is found where history is being made." Scope took place during the summer of 1965, growing out of the SCLC's participation in the Voter Education Project. The momentum following the Selma to Montgomery March and SCLC's desire to highlight the voter registration process for blacks while Voting Rights Act was pending before Congress. Scope was also inspired by the 1964 Freedom Summer, a council of federate organizations, an initiative that mobilized hundreds of white college students to work in the South against segregation. SCLC's voter registration and political education director, Hosea Williams, was selected to manage the effort. On April 30th, Dr. King and SNCC's John Lewis announced that the two organizations would work together to implement programs designed to carry out a program of voter education and political organizations across the South. Despite promises that the Voting Rights Act would be passed by June 1965, Scope began that summer as the bill worked its way through Congress. Its three objectives were local recruitment and community grassroots organization, voter registration, and political education. Over 1,200 Scope workers, including 650 college students from across the nation, 150 SCLC staff members, and 400 local volunteers served in 6 southern states to register African Americans to vote. President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act on August 6, 1965. 3 days after its enactment in Congress, Scope ended only 3 weeks later, depriving the SCLC workers, students, and local volunteers of federal support during most of the program. Dr. King reported that the project goals had been met and projected success in SCLC's future. Registration efforts would be achieved. As you can see, the Scope Project has had a great impact on all of our lives, even today. This has been your Black History Moment with Tia Lyons on GMS News.